Just imagine for a second, you're standing in a cemetery. It's quiet, it's peaceful. The dead don't complain. They're not suffering. They're just done. It's the scene of absolute tranquility.
And then you see a pregnant woman walking through the graves. Now, most of us would see hope, right? Life, the future. But the philosopher Emil Cioran, he saw something completely different. He saw a future sufferer, another consciousness about to be thrown into existence.
And this, right here, leads to the really radical question that shapes his entire philosophy and this whole explainer today. What crime did any of us actually commit to deserve being born? It's a heavy one, for sure. So let's dive into how he unpacks it.
Okay, so for Cioran, birth isn't some miracle. He called it the unique misfortune. He basically argued that being born is a violent act. It tears us away from a state of perfect peace and throws us into this world of suffering, all without ever asking for our consent.
And you can really see what he means when you put it side by side like this. On one side, you've got non-existence, total peace, zero pain, complete freedom. And on the other side, well, that's us, existence. We get consciousness, the prison of time, and what he grimly called the meat grinder. His whole point is that we were dragged from that peaceful state into this chaos, and that is the fundamental tragedy of it all.
So, if we're all sentenced to life, what exactly are the charges? What are the burdens of being alive that make it so bad? For Cioran, it's the idea that existence itself is just a fundamentally negative experience.
At the very heart of this is consciousness. Now, most of us see consciousness as a gift, don't we? It's what makes us human. But Cioran saw it as a dagger. It's the very tool that allows us to feel every single sting of pain, to be hyper-aware of time just slipping away, and to live with that constant nagging knowledge that we're all going to die.
And these burdens really break down into three things. First off, the guarantee of suffering. It's not a question of if you'll suffer, but when and how. Second, the prison of time. This feeling of being trapped on a conveyor belt moving in one direction, where every second is gone forever. And finally, the curse of foresight. Unlike other animals, we're cursed with knowing, pretty much from a young age, that this all comes to an end.
And this quote just brilliantly flips our whole view on mortality. Cioran argues that our fear of death is actually misplaced. We're not running towards some scary unknown. We're actually fleeing a trauma we've already experienced, the original, violent catastrophe of being born.
So, how does this incredibly bleak view apply to one of the most common human desires out there, having children? You hear people talk about legacy, about continuing their family name. Well, for Cioran, this was just a profound and kind of selfish delusion. He argued that your kids aren't a continuation of you, they're a replacement. Your DNA is just chemistry, it's not your consciousness. When you're gone, you're gone. All you're really doing is passing down that same sentence of mortality to a whole new generation. You're just spreading the problem.
And this brings us to another one of his core ideas. The fact that pain just dominates existence in a way pleasure never can. And not just in quantity, but in quality. I mean, think about it. A single moment of really intense pain can haunt you for your entire life, right? But even the greatest pleasure, it's just a nice memory by tomorrow. Our brains seem hardwired to remember trauma and just get used to joy, which for him makes life a net negative.
Okay, let's just pause here for a second. This is a really challenging perspective to sit with. So I want to ask you, what do you think? Is there something fundamental, joy, love, meaning, that Cioran's whole philosophy misses when it comes to the idea of creating life? I'm genuinely curious to read what you think down in the comments.
Now, this deep critique of existence leads Cioran to a pretty surprising moral conclusion. He reframes the choice not to have children, what's known as anti-natalism, as the ultimate act of compassion.
And what's so crucial to understand here is that this philosophy doesn't come from a place of hating children or hating humanity. It actually comes from the exact opposite. It's a sense of pity so profound that you refuse to subject another innocent being to the guaranteed suffering that is existence.
And Cioran absolutely lived by this. He saw creating a new consciousness as the single greatest moral failure a person could commit. To him, basically every other crime you could think of paled in comparison to the act of forcing someone to exist.
So all of this brings us to the final part of his argument. And this part focuses on the power and the choice that every single one of us holds right now.
The logic here is stark, and it's brutally simple. 1, you can't undo your own birth. 2, you're already here. You're stuck with the burden. 3. But you can refuse to inflict it on someone else. And 4. You have the power to break the chain of suffering.
This quote really captures the tragic core of it all, doesn't it? The best possible state, non-existence, is a state that every single one of us has already lost. It's a plan we can't choose for ourselves. But it is a state we can preserve for others, simply by choosing not to create them in the first place.
So, what do you take away from all this? Is Cioran's philosophy a deeply compassionate worldview, or is it just a bleak, nihilistic dead end? Let us know what you think. And hey, if you enjoy grappling with these kinds of big, challenging ideas, be sure to subscribe to Mindscope Philosophy for more thought-provoking explainers just like this one. Thanks for watching.